Welcome to Make That Paper, the show where we talk about all the crazy jobs we do to make the cash we need to pursue our artistic dreams.
And to buy honey-based face masks. And a bottle of Goo Be Gone to remove the honey-based face masks.
Today, we're talking about that toilet scrubbing trade, the old chambermaid chore, the let's all toast the property host post. Speaking of hosts, I am Jaime Parker Stickle.
And I am Jason Bieber.
And I am actually freaking out a little bit, and this is unscripted for a sec. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
Go ahead.
When she wrote me back, I had come into the kitchen and had to sit on the stool and put my head between my knees because I was hyperventilating. I am so excited.
Bag for you to breathe into.
So excited because today we are talking to one of the funniest actresses from one of the funniest shows on television today.
This phenomenal actress discovered her gift in a borrowed Santa suit of all places and took that talent to the boards of the prestigious Stratford Shakespeare Theatre Festival for 5 consecutive years.
Then she exploded onto the television scene, earning a Canadian Screen Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series for her iconic role as the quirky Mommy and Me leader, Val, in the CBC Netflix original hit comedy series, Workin Moms!
Oh, it's such a good show. Season 6 is airing on CBC. Seasons 1 through 5 are streaming on Netflix now.
So please welcome to the show one of our favorite people from one of our favorite things.
The one, the only, Sarah McVie.
Oh my God. Can I talk now? I want to make noise. I'm amazing.
Please.
I'm amazing.
You are amazing.
Wow. Wow.
Can you
Thank
believe
you, for
you
that.
did all that?
I can't believe it. It sounds so exciting when you say it.
It is so exciting.
So exciting.
It has felt a lot harder living it. No, it's been good. It's been good. Mostly good. But yeah, what a journey.
We took your life and just trimmed all the fat.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I like that. Yeah, nice
Now
and
we're
lean.
going to talk about all the fat, though.
Let's do it. We have to. You know, the fat is where all the toxins are stored. Did you know that?
I did.
You know that all the
I knew the
toxins are stored in
toxins were
fat?
hiding somewhere.
So let's squeeze out the toxins.
Let's squeeze them out.
man.
Let's squeeze it out.
Cook some toast in it later. I only know that because I was just watching Chopped before this, and she like trimmed the fat off a piece of steak and then put bread in it and toasted the bread and the fat from the steak. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. I'm sorry, I'm off track. I'm so excited.
What? Well, I'll get you back on track. That's kind of my kink. And I don't mean my sexual kink. That's my food. I love fat. I love like coconut oil. I love oily things. That to me is like my sugar. I'm not a sugar person. I'm a fat person.
I don't know if you're like a vegan or anything, but I used to make what I called a heart attack burger.
Oh yeah.
Where I would take a whole thing of bacon, I would render all the fat down, and then I would take the cooked bacon out and pour the fat into the hamburger meat and then put it all together. And what would happen is you'd put that hamburger on the barbecue and it would cook from the inside because the bacon fat would basically explode.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You are speaking my language. And clearly, no, I am not a vegan, although I'm going to be real about it. I wish I was a little bit. And I tried it for a full calendar year.
Wow.
Okay, one whole calendar year, completely strict, because I was desperately in love with a beautiful man who's a vegan and still is. And I just, my physiology, whatever, my makeup, it doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work,
No. And I really wish, because I do, I love animals and the environmental problems and, but anyway, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm going to be eating meat for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Well, that I think that you bring up a good point, and people sort of, don't want to believe it, but not all bodies are created equal. And like we actually, some need more like I eat partly vegetarian, partly pescatarian, but the boys cannot, like they just don't. My son doesn't even want to eat, but he gets really sick if he doesn't eat protein from animals.
I know. It's a tricky one.
I can't eat vegan, but I would eat a vegan.
Oh,
good. Okay. Well, there wouldn't be a lot of fat on it. So I'm just, there's a lot of carbs.
They tend to be very lean. Yeah.
You guys, I think we have so much in common. We have so much in common. And one of the biggest things that we have in common is our side hustle.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you for a second. We consider ourselves the Airbnb hostess with the mostest. We're Airbnbers. And we started that journey like 6 years ago. 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
When you wrote that to us, that you were an Airbnb host?
Oh yeah.
And then
super
you talked
host,
about the
host, and I'm sure
super
you are too.
host.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you
Super.
two are. You two strike me
6
as
straight
super
years.
hosts.
Thank you very
That's
much.
right. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
We talked to somebody about the thing you wrote us about scrubbing toilets. We're going to talk about it with you. And they were like, well, that's not really being a maid. And I was like, oh my God, it is. And they're like, but you own the property. And I was like,
Oh. Well, in some cases, like in one case when I started, I think it would have been like, okay, so we're 2021. It would have been 20. I mean, like, when did Airbnb start? It would have been the beginning of Airbnb, right at the beginning.
yeah, I think it's been almost 10 years now,
12?
right?
10 years ago.
10,
It must have been.
12,
I was going to say 2007, but that's too long ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. About 10 years ago, let's say, I started doing it with my own property. So I would move my stuff out and I would move into my parents' basement. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be real with you, okay? And I'm in my early mid 30s at this point, and I've worked at Stratford, and I'm regular at the local professional theater. I have done a little bit of like movie of the week stuff, not a ton, but I was doing tons of voiceover, but I still couldn't pay the bills. So I'd move out for a week or a weekend or whatever, move in with the folks, and then, have the place all swanky. And I used to do, like at the beginning, I remember I used to have like beer and different kinds of wine for guests. And like,
you fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so fancy. I know, it was way too much. I don't know why. I was really taking it on.
Right.
But then,
Well, you appreciated like the free water and the Uber rides, and you're like, okay, I could step that up.
I love that. And but it works too. I mean, people go crazy for free stuff, right? And then the reviews were over the moon, and it just started to snowball. But then when I needed to supplement my living. I needed to live somewhere. I also could not live with my parents all the time. Although I love them and we have a good time, it is not easy as a grown adult, for me. And so I started doing it for other people. So I had like a number of properties, so other people's properties, and I managed them for them. So I had at one point I had 7, I think, properties that I was managing.
Wow. That's full time.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. And you know this as my career. So I start doing Working Moms, for example, but it's just small at the beginning, no one knows the show, and, I'm not, it's not paying all the bills. And so I'm still hustling on the side. And as my career is sort of building momentum, so is my hosting career, right? I'm getting better and better at it. More people, more clients. I'm really finessing it. I've got my little kit in my car, that I drive around with. I bring my own Dyson vacuum cleaner everywhere.
Of course, you have
Dyson,
to.
right?
So people should know, as a property manager, you were cleaning the units.
So let's go through what it is.
Let's go through what it is.
So I'm the host. I'm the one that deals with all the bookings. I am the front woman of the operation. So
when there's a problem, they call you.
When there's a problem, any time of day or night.
Yeah.
So the other thing is it's a 24-hour-a-day job. And I'm the only one, right? I have to be the only one. If I went on vacation, I had to ask a friend to oversee it because there was no one else. The owners of these places were sometimes they had their own careers going, or they lived in other places. Like this is an investment property. They're expats and they're off in another country themselves. And this is like just their investment. So I can't call them. So furnace issues, anything like that. I would, in the middle of the night, have to get up and help someone check in. That was one. So, anyway, I've got to start at the beginning. So you get the request, and then you look at the person. How are their reviews? Are they a safe person? Is it look all good? So you usually say yes because you're just happy to have the booking.
You need the money,
right? You need the money. Whatever. Keep it rolling. And then you send them a welcome letter, and I had sort of standardized emails that I would give them about, amenities in the area, transportation in Toronto, what else? Any special requests they might have, things like that. So all the communications. Then at one point in my career, my mini 10-year career as a host, I would go to help check them in every time, every check-in. Do you do that too?
Oh,
You're
God,
there?
no. We're completely keyless, and
we have to.
I'm also we've got a bunch of jobs. One of my jobs is I'm a computer consultant, and so I technology the hell out of our Airbnbs.
Right.
It's helped.
Right. Oh, well, that's always for me, that was a nightmare trying to figure out how to work the smart TV. That was always inevitably the first question. You leave them, you think I've checked them in or whatever, and then I would get a text. How do you use this remote? Oh, do you see the list that's on the table that I showed you with the Wi-Fi password and the instructions on how to use the remote?
Like, no.
Do you know how to use pieces of paper? Because there's one right next to
there.
you.
Yeah. But I get it. When you're renting a place and you're on a vacation, or you want to kind of be pampered. So that's that's how I would operate. The other thing is I was billing by the hour. So it worked for me to do this kind of extra, it worked for the owners. They didn't mind because it made the service even swankier. And then for me, it's hours, because it's a hard thing to kind of charge, right? So the property host part. So you would, I'd do 15 minutes here, half an hour there. And then at the end of the day, I would have, 2 or 3 hours. Or, these little bits would make up 2 or 3 hours or whatever it was. But I remember I was at a dinner party once, I'll never forget. And I had just had the tiniest bit of wine. Like I had just started to enjoy the night and I got a call saying the cleaners didn't show up. The place is a total disaster.
That's happened.
You got to go there. And I didn't even have my car. I had to borrow someone's car, took it across town in Toronto, not quite like LA, but it takes, 45 minutes to get from one end to the other. I get there and I've got limited time to get this place flipped, as we say in the biz.
Had the guest already arrived and they let you know?
Yep, they arrived and the cleaners hadn't shown up. So they lockbox, beep, 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 which people often need help with. Those lockboxes are a good lockbox really makes me happy. I find it very satisfying.
You're one step to real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the next thing.
Anyway, so then, I parked the car, put the credit card in, it's stuck in the machine. I can't get it out. Leave my credit card in the parking machine to go do my cleaning. And I get the place pretty well, appointed. Of course, the drying is always a bugger. At the end of the, I'm done everything else, but the drying's not finished. So I'd be like, come on, dryer, come on, waiting for it to dry. But I was always waiting for it to dry and just touching up the, I was cleaning the bathroom. I didn't realize the toilet was a bidet, and I clicked the bidet on. I clicked the bidet on. Not only did it go directly in my face, it went around my head and behind me.
Oh no!
All over the newly placed bedspread. So I was like, no.
Wait a second. Why is the bidet shooting into the bedroom?
Well, it's like the bathroom is facing the bedroom.
Because that's what I like to wake up to.
I know, right? The toilet is literally, if you're sitting on the toilet, you're looking at the bed, which is, each to his own, not how I would lay out a place. But so then it covered, and then I got to put it back in the dryer. And I'm like, who knows what's going on with the credit card? Never saw that again. Canceled it somehow in between, cleaning and drying. And anyway, you get it done. But it's like, it's a hustle, and it's something you do on your own. It's like, no one's going to do it. You got to do it. So,
and I think the thing you said, like you were frantic and you left the credit card because you had to get to this job, is the same way you feel as an actor. Like we bring so much of who we are as an actor. Like that's how we feel about auditions. Like, oh crap, you could be in the middle of a job and you're like, I got to go to this audition. And I don't know if Toronto's the same as LA in that we drive so far for an audition and then have to find parking or pay for parking or have quarters because the meters at auditions don't take credit cards, which is
come on,
beyond me. Like, have
they still take coins?
Yes, who gets coins anymore?
Can't even say the word coins.
Coins?
Coins. I never. Right. We go to like a coin pond, and my kid is like, "Do you have a penny?" And I was like, "What's that? And how do you know what it is?" It's like we don't use that anymore. What is currency anyway?
Yeah.
You bring to.
I just Venmo the fountain.
That's right. You bring to the hustle the same hustle that you bring to acting or writing or any, gig that makes you perform an audition to receive, right?
Well, you're reminding me too. I mean, for me, often the roles that I would get called in for to audition, I'd have to be zhuzhed up, like my hair done, makeup, and then I would go have to clean a place and audition after. And it was like how to maintain, do you know what I mean? A certain level of look. Like,
and can you charge more for being glammed up while you clean?
Yeah, exactly. I should. I know. But it was great. One thing that was great about cleaning, because I haven't done it in the last 2 years. What was great is learning lines, because I like to learn my lines on the move.
Yeah.
So I
That's
found
smart.
that particular, and by the way, I hate cleaning. Like I actually do not enjoy cleaning at all.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
My father and my sister are like nutty about it. They're what you call clean freaks. Is that
Yeah.
something people
Sure,
say
I've heard
still?
of those.
I've always said it.
That's
So
what
they
I hear.
love it. Really? So you're one.
Well, I don't like it, but I can't work in an unclean environment.
Okay.
So
I
like
can work in a mess.
See, I can't do that. Like it
No.
has to be clean. Otherwise my brain is like, what is this? Let's get distracted.
If
and
I
clean
want
this.
our house cleaned, all I have to do is get her a job.
Yep. That's true. That's true. Do we have any commercials today?
Let's take a quick break and see. You know what I bet our listeners are thinking right now?
What's that, Bieber?
They're probably thinking, this podcast thing is so easy. I could start my own podcast. And you know what? They're right.
Yeah, we've been using Anchor for a few months now, and it has totally changed our game. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain.
It's free.
I said, let me explain.
Fine.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere podcasts are streamed. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I mean, it's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place.
And it's free.
Yes. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And we're back.
Right. It's motivating. Well, I don't like it, but I do like doing it for other people. So that's a
Interesting.
weird thing. I don't want to do my own, but I do get very like, I'm going to do the best job. Like I was over the top proud of my cleaning abilities. You know, I brag about it, which is like, you know, not a very attractive quality in a person, but I do. I'm a perfectionist.
I do too. I will put stories when I'm cleaning one of our units up and I'm like, look at this. This isn't just made clean. This is Jaime clean. Like it's a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
A lot obnoxious. But also, no one comes and like gives you ratings on when you clean your own house.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. It's the positive feedback, which is the actor thing too, right?
Mhm.
It's just in us from years of like, I put it out there. What do you think? No. Okay. No, not good. Or you put it out there and they like it. All right. I'm going to do more of that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you get
the
anything
positive.
negative in those reviews as an Airbnb host, and I know people who just don't care, they're like, whatever, it's fine. But for me, it is devastating. Like it is 2 days of just like, what were they thinking writing that?
Mhm.
They're so wrong.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because and again, acting taught me not to read reviews. I've really become very good at not deep diving into looking for criticism of myself or my work.
Just validation.
You know, like my nieces said to me over the holidays, Auntie Sarah, do you read your comments? And I was like, I don't read all of them because I get very anxious. I think from my early Stratford days of reading the reviews and, my heart's sinking. They don't like this show or they don't like something I did and taking that on. So sometimes I'm a little wary of reading reviews and comments, but you had to with the Airbnb. And a bad one, like one, I remember one guy so mad. He thought that it was wrong that I hadn't provided slippers and chopsticks. Now, I mean, I can go and get those things for him, but I didn't have them already in the, you know, it's funny because some people have expectations.
Were you giving out free sushi?
But and maybe he's right to think, you know, that should be a standard thing in an Airbnb is chopsticks with the cutlery. It's just, you know, it doesn't occur to me because I don't eat with them all the time unless I'm eating sushi. So I added it to the list and then I always had chopsticks in the places, but slippers? Like who wants to wear other people's slippers?
I was just going to say, are you expecting me to wash them every time too? Like,
I don't know what he was thinking about with the slippers, but you can't really you don't want to get into it. Like I'm not one of those people that are on Twitter that want to like tweet back and forth at each other. So I just thank you for your recommendon. You know, I will take it into consideration. And
I don't know if I'm ever going to get past this. I mean, I actually understand the slippers. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't provide them, but I've been to hotels where they provide slippers. And so that's kind of it makes some level of sense, but I don't think I've ever been anywhere
where they've had some
except a Japanese restaurant.
That's right. Yeah.
Where I expected to have chopsticks available for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it brings me to our first place was, we had a house and then we turned our garage into,
well, first we turned our carport into a garage.
Yes. And then we made it into an Airbnb, and it was very nice. And we would have people stay. We would, like you, we provided things like not wine, but coffee pods. There wasn't a kitchen in it. It was, a tiny refrigerator, and it was meant, this is LA.
It was a studio.
It was a studio. It was meant for you to stay and then
go. A Murphy bed.
We would provide breakfast biscuits.
Yes.
And we did provide creamers,
breakfast biscuits?
Like packaged
biscuits.
Oh, yeah.
So we did do, but we, it wasn't a cooking unit. So, but we had provided, we would give a dozen coffee pods, per person who stayed. And I'll never forget the man who stayed for 3 days, or the couple who stayed for 4 days. And they said, we went through all the coffee pods. Could you go buy us some more? And I was like,
yeah. No,
we did.
I would not.
We went and bought them more because I was like, are we supposed to buy more, or should they go to the
endless
store?
It's endless coffee with this
It's
unit.
endless coffee.
And then they host a party, and they're like, come have some coffee.
Well,
These guys
one
are
man
suckers.
he was having
This isn't a diner.
Yeah, one man he was having he was old. He was old, and he was on, what is it? Not Grindr, but Tinder. So he was having like meetups with women at our
drinking all your coffee.
Drinking all the coffee in the morning. And I was like,
thank God we didn't give out wine.
Do you know what he gave us when he left? He was like, I'm a musician. Here's my CD. And I was like, a CD? What is that? Nobody has CDs anymore. When were you a musician?
He probably had a box of them from the 90s he was trying to get rid of.
No. Have you ever encountered, when you were cleaning the Airbnbs, gifts that people have left behind for you? And by gifts, I mean porn. Have you ever found porn?
No, I've never. Did you find porn?
We found so much porn.
They'd been making a little bit of porn.
Like Polaroids of themselves.
Right.
And they would leave them for us. And I was like, there's a trash. Condoms. Used condoms.
They thought you'd like it? They thought you'd like it. That's what I can imagine. But there is a lot of renting spaces to shoot porns, because my gal pal, who also started by renting out her own space and now owns a company in Ottawa, and she manages like 50 to 70 spaces.
Oh, wow.
So she
took your idea and ran with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, not my idea, but I was doing it first in terms of like our, in my friend group. And, but she's like light years ahead. Like, she owns her own company. She manages all these properties, and she has encountered the porn situation quite a few times. And it's hard because you might be able to see it coming or make an assumption, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to assume people are up to no good or nefarious. So how do you can't really stop it. And then, then the porn's being shot in your home.
And you're like,
it is what it is. Yeah.
Did you guys get permits? Just
I know. Do they get permits? I don't really understand how the porn industry works, so I don't know. But
I do, because I used to be an assistant to a porn distributor.
Oh, great. Okay, so do you get porn just like a normal shoot, right?
Just like a normal shoot. You gotta have your permit.
You gotta have insurance.
If you're doing it under the table, then you don't need to.
That's a special angle.
And that was our place. Right. It was
that's
always
a trick shot.
It was like amateur porn. Like,
oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't professional porn.
Okay.
It was weird, and we were like, we have a baby. This isn't what this is for. And then we had people that wanted to shoot music videos, and we were like, where are you going to put the camera? Like, this is a little teeny studio behind a gate in a very urban area. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, one of the funniest was the frat. I mean, it was just a frat party, like a crazy. And of course, the rule was no parties.
Yeah.
And this is someone I was hosting someone, I was representing someone else's property. And I go the next morning, and it's like The Hangover or one of those movies, like just beer everywhere and food and men and women, dressed in varying states of undress, and totally unapologetic. I mean, I just had to laugh because I'm like, you guys you don't even care. They're like, no, we don't. We had a great time.
We've already done it.
Did they assist in cleaning up after themselves?
No, they didn't. No. But like, it didn't even matter. Someone's friend had booked it, so the review will be on them. And oh man, it was frustrating. But I try to. I mean, it did teach me to just really laugh things off a bit.
Yeah.
Not take it personally, because of course it's not personal, but I did have one, by the by, I'm just remembering now, I actually did have a romantic entanglement with one of my guests.
Really?
Yes, I did. And it was quite a positive experience.
This is getting amazing. Please tell us everything about this.
This is when it was MySpace. But if you can follow this, it was in another city. So I owned a house in Ottawa that I was no longer living in because I was here doing Workin Moms in Toronto.
This was not when you would go to your parents' basement.
Well, I'm just coming out of my parents' basement around this time. So this is
just emerging, just seeing daylight.
It's quite late. It's like 5 years ago. 6 years. It's not that long ago that I was sometimes dabbling with living in my parents' basement, out of necessity.
Yeah.
So about 5 years ago. And, but I was renting out the house. So we had, I didn't know this person. This is someone who was a guest, and his messages, like the correspondence was so nice. I was really drawn to it. And then he asked me out. He said, well, if you're ever in town, where your house is, because he was moving to the city and getting established, let's go for coffee. And I was like, sure. Yeah, I'm going to be there next month. And we did, and we hit it off. And lovely, lovely, lovely person, just lives in a different city, different lives. I know, different lives. Like, it's not going to work out long term. So, who knows, shut any doors or anything. But anyway, we're in different cities. And he was my favorite guest.
Well, yeah,
that is the title of the TV movie we're writing about this romantic entanglement.
Yeah, I know, right?
He was my favorite guest.
Well, actually, but you know what? I asked her because I told her I was going to be talking about Airbnb hosting, but I did ask my gal pal. She had a guest last summer, very, very tall drink of water, and they got married.
Hey.
The one who owns the manages 50.
Yes.
Oh my God.
The one that manages 50 married her guest. Very worthy gentleman, lovely couple, very happy together.
The rom-com writing.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
That's so
amazing. Two really positive love, outcomes, I guess.
That's odd. I love that.
Yeah, Airbnb. I mean, why not, right? Why wouldn't that be a place to meet people? I was right downtown Toronto in an apartment until around this time last year. About a year ago, I bought my first house in Toronto.
Nice.
So, but I had to buy, out of the downtown. So I'm 20 minutes north of, I was living in an area called Queen West that I absolutely adore. I've always loved Toronto. I'm not from here, but I just absolutely love it. And I love Queen West. But this is, I wouldn't call it the burbs, but this is an area that is about to have a regenerate. A lot of people are moving here. There's some energy.
Yeah. Are you in Kitchener?
No. Yeah. How do you know Kitchener?
I've got family in Kitchener.
Okay. I know Kitchener well because of Stratford. I was always going to Kitchener when I was there. But I like the name of my new neighborhood. It's called Mount Dennis. So whenever, isn't that cool? Mount Dennis? Yeah, I'm in Mount Dennis. So anytime I talk to people, I say, Toronto's newest, hippest neighborhood, Mount Dennis. I'll just drop that in because I'm just laying the groundwork for it to, right?
That's what we used to be. We used to be in Highland Park, Los Angeles, and it went through a renaissance, and we got in right before it, but we knew, we just had a feeling, and I hated leaving there, but we had to, but it was great. So when people would ask where we lived, we're like, oh, we're in Highland Park now. And people would be like, oh.
It's the Brooklyn of Los Angeles.
It's the Brooklyn of Los Angeles. Yeah. That's who called us that? The Washington Post or something? And we were like, yeah, it's true. We are the Brooklyn of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, you seem to have adopted a very, as a duck's back attitude towards maybe the less pleasant experiences, but has there been any kind of experience either with cleaning or hosting where it was just, this is the worst. This is intolerable. I can't do this.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you. It was the last summer. So we just did season 6. It would have been season 4. So pre-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The summer of season 4, my first day, and it was the opening scene of the season for Workin Moms. And, I'm having a riot. I mean, I really love working with the crew on that, the cast, the role, that character. Everything about it, is joy. I mean, it's hard work when it's hard work, but it's such joy. So I'm feeling myself and I'm like, season 4, I know everyone, I'm in my groove and everyone's treating me like gold. I mean, this is the dream. And as actors, I don't have that many days of work, right? Yeah. Even as a regular on a show, it's not that many days, it's a couple of handfuls a year. So, I'm just having a great time. And we're going to do your coverage, Sarah, right? Which means my close-up and everything. So, okay, here I am. I'm in the zone. I check my phone. Oh, there's a call coming in. And it's Deborah and her daughter, Sheila, from Ohio. And the apartment that they have booked is absolutely filthy. And the reason it's filthy is because the host, and that would be me, forgot to book a cleaner.
Oh shit.
In that moment, we're towards the end of the break, in that moment, I realized, I forgot to book a cleaner. I was going to do it, but then I got the day of work.
Oh shit.
So and then the AD comes out, Sarah, we're ready for your close up, and I'm thinking, kill me. What do I say to Deborah right now? How do I explain to Deborah, I'm on a television show and I'm just about to go do my close up. And, that doesn't even sound like a real thing, I mean, we know it's a real thing, but it would sound like a made up. Oh man, total sheer panic, but it's awful. I mean, it's funny in retrospect, but in the moment I was like, I want to say that terrible thing, FML, like, come on.
You can say it.
I am just, fuck my life. I'm just trying to make ends meet and do my TV show, and it's a break and here I am. And then now I'm being sucked into my cleaning life here for my close up. I mean, come on, and you know what it's like as an actor. Like, I don't want to take that into the shot, right? So you have to just compartmentalize. You really do. You have to that's not happening and this is happening. I called the owner of the company that I worked for and they ended up having to leave their swanky dinner and going over and cleaning. Fine. It was fine in the end. The owner of the company that I worked for did it and gave them a $50 gift certificate for their troubles.
Great.
Right.
Fine. There's ways to solve things, but it's just because I like to do a good job.
Of course.
I like to do a good job of any job I'm doing. So there I felt like I was, and there's been many moments like that where I feel like I'm doing a half-assed job at all things instead of a good job at
100%.
They're taking away from each other. Can I ask you, I got to switch into fan mode for 1 second. Can you tell me what scene that was that you went in and shot so I can go back and watch it and know what you were going through when you shot it?
Yeah. It worked out. It was fine. Those acting. Okay, I'll tell you what scene it was. It's when I talk about Kate is newly single or she's broken up with Nathan. And so I recommend that she get the number of my proctologist, or I was going to recommend my proctologist.
Yes.
He knows his way around an anus.
A rectum.
A rectum. That's it. Thank you. That's the line. He knows his way around a rectum.
Yep.
I think which was improvised. There's so much opportunity. You guys both do improv, right?
Yeah. Sure.
It's so fun on that show. From the beginning, Catherine was always like, you would get the lines in and then go, just riff and whatever. And just to have the green light on that and the freedom to play like that.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
It helps a lot, especially in those moments where I am, distracted by something, whether it be real life issue or, pain or something, whatever it is that's taking me outside of it. To feel like, we can just get in there and play and, muck around is awesome. Because, it's not always like that. Some jobs are very we need this exact thing.
5 years at the Shakespeare Festival.
Yeah.
Well, I can't improvise on that.
Well, halfway through the first season, I was like, why can't I write for this show? And Jason very lovely pointed out, you're not Canadian. But besides that, it is so, you can tell it is so supportive and the writers and the actors must have communication because the characters are so, I don't know.
They'll lean out of, Video Village and try that, throw things. I mean, at least with me, because I'm open to that. I'm totally into it. I like that.
So
I like that challenge. I know. What a dream. But, so there's been some tough, just juggling of that whole property hosting. And I really just stopped doing it 2 years ago.
So did you feel
2 years
comfortable enough stopping, with the work that was coming in that you were like, I'm going to put this on the back burner. I'm so happy before you.
This would be about
for now. And who knows what the future holds, but so we'll see. I mean, I'm willing to do any work I'm capable of doing well. I don't mind getting my elbows greasy. It's just, and I know I'm talking to people that understand, and hopefully people that are listening understand. Acting is such an all-encompassing exercise. It's hard to talk about really, because it's like, okay, for example, I had a girlfriend over the other night. I was helping her with a self-tape, and she's a mom, and she just hasn't had the time to prep, to let it sink in. And I can see it. Sometimes you just need time as an artist to let things percolate. And that is the work. That is the work. Not be doing anything else, just focus, and that's a luxury that a lot of people can't get. And yet that's really can be something that can give you a competitive edge. And, those people that are working at a high level and really can commit as much time as they need to do that, to prep for a movie or a film. It's, you see it in the work,
You see it in the work. You see it.
Partly why the work is so great.
Exactly. 100%.
You see it, frankly, you see it in their bodies. You see it in, I just always come back to the Marvel body. I'm like, yeah, sure. If I had 6 months, a trainer, a dietitian,
to just become that character, that role,
I could be, absolutely. But the challenge is to do it while being an Airbnb host, a computer technician, a dad, a PTA participant. Like that's
that's
really, real life.
Really challenging, really challenging. And I don't know what to say to her with the 2 little ones, and everyone's at home with everyone. Where do you go to get space? I am very lucky that I have the luxury of time right now. Although that said, I don't know. Is it changing the work? I don't know. Okay, the reverse is happening a little, where I'm like, well, so what do I want to do? After all these years of having to hustle, and now having a tiny bit of time, I'm almost like overwhelmed with choice. What do I do?
Yeah.
There's things I want to write. How do I write them? Should I do more stand-up comedy? Because I had tried it before the pandemic. Would that be a good thing to do? How do I start a podcast? I don't know. I don't have a partner to do that with. It seems like it would be better with someone. Anyway, so I'm in that that mode of what's the next kind of thing.
To create the blank canvas.
Yeah, which is such a luxury. And I've hustled hard enough that I feel like I deserve some time to do that for 100%. Sure. I mean, everyone deserves it. But there was points in my career where I was living in Ottawa, trying to break into Toronto, working in Ottawa as a personal trainer, for example, at one point, and driving to Toronto, which is a 5-hour drive, to do an audition, and then driving home on the same day so I could go to my personal training job the next day.
Yeah.
For a 5-minute audition. I did that a lot. Yeah. That's 10 hours of driving in one day for a 5-minute, and I never got it.
Yeah.
I didn't break it until I broke Workin Moms. That was my break to come back to Toronto and to be here where I want to be working and
where the work is. Where
the work is.
Let's take a quick break.
And we're back.
Acting even if you're recurring for a while, it's not paying the bills, y'all. And rent is expensive in Toronto. Rent is expensive in Los Angeles, so.
And what about the other 9 months of the year when the show's not shooting and you're not getting paid for it? And
I mean,
it might be getting paid now, but will you get paid next year? It fluctuates so wildly. Yes. How are you saving for, the rainy day, the slush fund?
Yeah.
Can I ask you, so we've only really talked about Airbnb hosting, and if you don't want to, it's okay, but you did mention you were working as a personal trainer. What else?
Yeah.
I feel like there's some onion layers to peel back here.
Oh, wait, now, really? Like personal training was a big one, and that was because I wanted to buy a house. And awesome. I had worked at the Stratford Festival for 5 years, and when I went with my little bit of money that I had saved up for a down payment, the bank said, "Oh, you're an actor? Oh, there's no way." Like,
exactly.
And I was like, but if I had a job, like a job, and it looked on paper like I made a certain amount, then that would be fine. Okay. So I got trained as a personal trainer, and I worked at a Good Life, and I had a bunch of clients, and I got that piece of paper that says I make a certain amount of money, and I bought a house.
Nice.
And then I did it for years. I loved it. I mean, I love the one-on-one. Yeah. It's another great job for actors because you get to.
I was a cycling teacher. What do you call it? What did I do?
Spin instructor.
Oh God, I can't even think this morning. I'm so sorry. What did I do? I've had so many jobs. I was a spin instructor for a while, and it is nice to be able to not be in a corporate situation, but in a place. I don't know. I think with actors, and I could be wrong, but every actor I talk to, and myself included, we just like to be with people, and we like to instruct in some way, or show something, or help in some way. It's a really weird, I don't know, personality trait. But yeah, that is a good one. We had the same problem with our house. But I worked a corporate job for 7 years and I stayed with or 8 years and I stayed with them, Nestle, for so long because they allowed me to take my lunch breaks to go on auditions, which would take 90 minutes to recite 2 lines. But like to get across town, find parking, wait my turn, come back. It was like, a whole year. But
do hair and makeup while you're driving.
We applied for a loan and we weren't married yet, but we were going to buy a house together. And they were like, you have to buy it alone, Jaime, because Jason is just an actor.
I was dragging her down.
He was dragging me down. They're like, we only give loans to people who have real jobs. And it caught in my throat, like real jobs. Like I didn't grow up with the benefit of having parents that would assist ever. So I have always had to work. Like I've worked since a young age. So I've always had a job like for health insurance or security or neuroses because I have anxiety. But this guy was like, I'm allowed to just be an actor. It is a job. And they were like, no, dude.
I took it personally. I don't know about you, but I was mad when they said that because I had just spent 5 seasons at the biggest repertory theater company in North America, acting opposite big stars and whatever. And there was no recognition for that. Yeah, there was no recognition. It doesn't matter. Because there's no stability there, which is so funny thinking back because look at where we are now in the world. I would say there's many more jobs that we recognize don't have stability.
Yeah.
This idea of stability.
What?
I'm not so sure it really applies to as many things as we think it does.
Yeah.
I think that is perhaps the reason this podcast is as successful as it is, because people are really starting to identify with this, the instability of the artist's life as being more universal than anyone ever thought.
Yeah.
We're in this age of the what are they calling it? The Great Retirement or the
the
Great Resignation. That's what it is.
Resignation.
Yeah. Where like just, companies are going crazy offering tons of money to just hire anybody with no training because they can't fill jobs.
Yeah.
Because people are like, nope, I'm better than that.
Right.
I mean, I just found out that adjunct professors, if I want to get an adjunct professor job, I would probably have to go on food stamps. Like I read an article that all these professors are working to unionize because they're on food stamps. Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because the other side hustle that I have had for years and years and years is teaching. Mm-hmm. And I taught at a university in Ottawa. That's what took me to Ottawa. But I didn't go to university myself. I don't have a degree. I went to a theater program.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you say conservatory style program? Yeah. Does that make, so like just the rigor of it and like a college, I have a college diploma. Anyway, so I don't come from academia, but this was more of a practical course within a university and it was quite popular, but the pay as a teacher is not great. It's so not great that in fact, because it takes so much more of my brain to prepare and to craft a course and, it's a lot of work. It actually doesn't make sense as something to supplement myself as an actor because it takes so much time away from the acting.
Yeah,
but it's
100%.
Something that I enjoy doing and I'm passionate about. I think teachers should be paid way more. But it never felt like, that's going to generate a lot of income. It did give me some, but it wasn't.
I teach writing classes. I particularly teach a storytelling workshop. And because I'm passionate about helping people find their voice to tell their story. It's one thing to write it down well, but then to be able to share it. And that is really what we want to do, right? As human beings, to share our stories.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And to teach it as a class at a university or as an adjunct professor or at community college is outrageous. Like it would be like, what? I have to pay back grad school loans.
It's almost volunteer work.
It's volunteer work. Yeah. But teaching it on my own for less money because I don't need an institution or, whatever, even though I'm not making a lot, I make much more money independently teaching. And it's actually more rewarding in general to...
Plus, I got my fancy Jaime University sweatshirt I get to rock.
That's interesting.
U of Jaime.
U of J, yeah.
U of J. But it is, there's a different kind of way you can relate to students anyways, but you do make more money hustling on your own. Sure, you have to do marketing and like,
but then, well, that's the thing, Jaime. Like part of the reason I didn't do it on my own is because I'm not so great at the marketing, the marketing and the like I remember even just a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I want to do more coaching. I'm going to make a poster. And I had 3 friends do 3 very different posters. And I cannot, for the life of me, make a choice about what a poster should look like for a class. Now, I can make a choice about what a scene should look like and a set and a whatever. But there's something about marketing that I just don't have those skills. I want them, but it's hard to do.
It's hard.
The things.
Yeah, it's hard.
I have a friend who's just moved into marketing, but where did you get your marketing skills?
I don't think that I'm great at it for myself as much as I'm decent about it for other people, but I did work at Nestle for 8 years and I worked in packaging design and I worked with the marketing teams. And so some of that's, I lied my way into that job. I lied for 8 years to be able to do that job. I acted my way into that job. I acted like I knew what I was doing. I think I was young and cute and they were like, give her the job. And, which is terrible, but it's true. I did have a college degree and that was it. But I learned something from these experts in this field and in this business. A lot of my friends are in marketing still because, in your 20s, you're like, oh, you are friends with the people you work with. Yeah. And so, I just rely on them a lot for information and stuff. But I think the biggest thing is you just do it with consistency. Pick a poster and be consistent, posting about it on social media, which is terrible. And even if only 5 people like it, those 5 people saw it and liked it. It's not shameful. You just have to be consistent with it. That's the key with marketing. Not every Crunch bar sold, but they were consistent with the packaging so that when people went to the store and saw, oh, there's Nestle Crunch bar, right?
And here's the thing. Consistency for me, being consistent is a little bit at odds with being open and free to improvise wildly. Do you know, it's like 2 different parts of my brain. It's 2 different like muscle systems. I don't know. So yeah, and I'll get into a zone where I'm like, okay, I'm going to teach, I'm going to coach. In fact, there's a young man, very talented, who really hasn't studied acting at all. And a friend of a friend asked, and so I've been coaching him.
Good.
But then I'll get, a slew of auditions and I'll put him off. And this happened when I was a trainer too.
Yeah.
Little less important when I'm cleaning because I can hire a cleaner to do it. But I can't. If they're asking me to be the teacher, you know what I mean? I got to show up for it. So just those has that happened to you too? Where you're like, of course, now I've got 5 auditions.
Anytime we try and do anything else, just when we get auditions.
Yeah. He just we finally booked a 3-day weekend at the beach. Like we finally feel confident enough to take our kid out after 2.5 years, and he books a recurring on a show. And so we're like,
congratulations.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
In 3 long years.
I will say for me, the minute I had my child, our manager said, you're not acting anymore, right? And I was like, yeah, that was my face. If you all could see her face right now, it was like, okay. It was like, yes, I am. I had to lose a little bit of this weight and I needed to like feed my baby and but no, I'm here. But ever since I had my child, their focus has been on Jason and not me. So
we have the same
manager.
Have you seen sorry to interrupt you. Have you seen Call My Agent?
No, that French? I'm going to write it down.
Well, it's in French, but you just watch it with the subtitles. It's fabulous. And it's about agents in Paris and their actors. But you got to stick with it. It's very funny. And there's a different relationship to new moms working, I think, in France than in North America.
Okay.
So I think you'll dig it. Yeah.
Why
shouldn't you be working? We should be, the world should be accommodating mothers to be able to do that. But,
it makes me cry. The system here is not set up for. I had friends who became same age but became moms like a year or within a year of me having become a mom, and they were like, what'd you do? And these were women that were working regularly even on feature films, and now they're all realtors because the same thing happened to them. I start crying. It's so terrible. So what I did is I've always been a writer. And I decided to apply to graduate school because I was like, fuck all of you. I'm going to write the shows that you're going to perform in and cast actors for. And I'm only going to hire moms. Like I was so mad and upset and hurt. It was devastating to me to lose what I had spent 20 years of sacrifice on to build. Like I went 6 months pregnant to a casting director workshop. And this woman had called me in a lot and she liked me and we had a good relationship. And she said, oh, when are you due? And I was like, oh, in 4 months. And she's like, okay. And then are you taking maternity leave? And I was like, I don't have to. Why? Like, I was very,
Do you have something?
it was very.
Yeah. Are you making an offer?
Right.
Yeah, it was a little bit traumatic. And then I don't
Yeah.
know why I'm telling my story on the show and I shouldn't be, but I went to grad school and I went for creative writing and I had the most amazing mentor who's the director of the program. And he did our show too. His name is Todd Goldberg. He's a New York Times bestselling author of multiple books. And he told me on the phone, he just said, I don't want you to ever listen to anyone who tells you you can't because you're one of the most talented people. And I was like, oh shit. And a man told me, and he's white too, but it was such a nice, and he's not even a dad, but it was like the thing that was like, oh, okay, I'm back. So I graduated from grad school and I got a lit agent for my novel and I am not looking back. Like we are going forward. And I was just like, opportunities, consistency, make your own. Like you get to a point in this town and in this business where you're just like, no one's going to help you at all. And you're like agent, manager, because I've got both. They're not helping you. My literary agent is. And she's like, do you want to write for film too? And I was like, well, obviously, like I'm a screenwriter. Yeah. And she's like, okay, let's keep going.
Great.
And it's just like, it's just consistency, but also I had to open up myself to the idea that I might not be a paid actor. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be an actor anymore. It's just, who knows? I could be 60 and get my, role of a lifetime. And that's totally fine with me.
I mean, you're so young and your child is going to become less dependent on you. The world 100%. Is open to you.
Please tell him that.
This time will pass.
We'll edit all this out.
I think it's incredible. I'm absolutely in awe of the people that are working in this industry and raising kids and family. It's sort of sad. I don't want to be a bummer, but I wanted to be a mom. And I did do IVF and it didn't work out.
I'm so
and
sorry.
so I came to I know. Yeah. But listen, part of me, especially lately, has been like, wow, dodged a bullet. I mean, it does not look fun. I mean, it did already. I mean, I knew it's so hard. Why would you want to do it? But I know what you're up against too, because I remember for years, I always wanted to be a mom. And people would say to me, well, that'll be the end of your career. I mean, just flat out, that would be the response. Yep. Well, that'll be it. And mostly men would say that to me, well, that'll be, you choose that, and I don't think it should be that way. Obviously I don't feel it should be that way at all. And then I'm on this show that is like so into the whole motherhood and like, Catherine's living it. She is a working, it's in the title. She's living it. All the leads have kids and except for
it's me. An important show.
No, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't want to make it sound sad. I don't want to make it sound sad because I have 3 beautiful nieces. I've got 2 dogs. Who knows what the future holds? I just won't be biologically producing a child.
No, but like I said, we're fostering babies.
Well, that piqued my interest.
We'll bring one over for
interested. You. Yeah. It's complicated, eh? I mean, what is it about? I think it's the part of me that loves being an actor and being creative and creating things. That's the part of me that wanted to be a mom, just have this little thing that you put all this effort into. But the reality is it's a slog. It's tough.
Unlike every acting job, it doesn't end.
No, it doesn't end.
No. And you can't get written out. And you can't take a hiatus.
No.
And
you really put your time in as a parent. You are investing in their future, but also your future of having a beautiful, adult human in your life.
To take care of me someday.
But yeah, it's relentless. It's relentless. It looks...
It's relentless. And if you're at a point in your career, I think this is the big distinction to make. When people look at actresses who have children and there's, A-list celebrities is... It's really about timing and where you are. They're like, oh, you're on the cusp. Wait. Women can't wait to have children. It's like, I might look 25, but I'm 38. Like, what do you mean wait? Well, there's this, it's a fine line. Like
the hard truth of it is, I mean, just to be really real about it, is that I didn't have the resources. And I mean, I have not been making enough money as an actor or had a lifestyle where I could even try IVF or really go for it until now. And it's too late. It is. It's the fact that I'm just a bit too, I'm over 40 and it was too late.
Yeah.
So it's such a cruel irony that when I get my feet under me as an artist, finally, okay, now's the time. I'm on a show about being a mom. Well, it's too late.
Yeah.
So that
we're
feels
gonna get
like
your baby.
Get me a baby. Get me a baby.
I was thinking some muffins, but sure.
I'm going to send
a nice thank you note and 20 years of liability. Here you go.
I do find ways. I am so proactive. Like I volunteer at a teen mom shelter. Like I do drama with them. Yeah. They've got these women are like 14 to 20, have their babies in their arms, and they're doing drama. You know, like just trying to, because they're in high school and they're just trying to expand their like.
That's amazing.
Anyway, so I go out and seek it, and I seek the contact with little ones. It's not exactly, of course, it's not the same as having your own, but I am not complaining. Life has been very kind.
There's one more thing I wanted to bring up, which is not exactly a side hustle, but it is something that you've been putting a lot of your time and yourself into. That is your volunteering work and what you've been doing. It looks like you've been doing it over Zoom with young mothers.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you to just talk a little about that.
It's so important to me, especially because here I am having all this like longed for success as an actor on a show about mothers. And I have wonderful parents who I love deeply, who have welcomed me back into their home multiple times in the last two decades since I left. So to honor them and to honor, the whole thrust of the television show that I'm on and my longings, I feel like that's what I can do to sort of give back, to give positive energy instead of, I was also on The Handmaid's Tale. And so there's an example that show is like a dark, version. It was amazing to be on, like seriously, such a good, really good, positive experience. But a dark version of that sort of that motherly longing that goes unfulfilled or whatever. I want to change the narrative for myself and for other people that might be in my circumstances. It is sad and it is a disappointment, but then I have all this excess energy that I can use to support other moms, because it looks, and dads too, by the way. Dads and moms. But the moms are taking the brunt of it. And especially absolutely. Now in this lockdown, the way they're struggling. So the cameos, they reached out. I thought that was I'm such a tiny little, who am I that people are going to want cameos from me? But they do, they come through, and it's often for moms. And I love that. That's my other way of sort of sending out that positive energy to the moms and dads and parents. Yeah. Really, I just want to help make people feel good or feel at the end of the day, right? That's what drew me to it. So make them feel seen, see each other. That's all.
I love that. You're amazing. This is the most amazing episode in hour and a half ever.
Yeah.
Aw,
thank you.
You guys are lovely. Really, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah. And answering my stalkery Instagram.
She showed on Monday. Oh my God, she's my new favorite person. She was already my favorite person, but I didn't know her. Now she's my new favorite person in person.
Sure enough, but save some room in your heart, because next week we welcome one of our all-time favorite people.
And you mean the hilarious comedian Darren Capozzi?
That is exactly who I mean.
Oh my God, I love him so much.
You come around. She want my money, but I got no money. This ain't no savings and loan.